This is Phil LaMarr. It's the title character of Samurai Jack.
Korey, it is your show. You may do whatever you decide.
You know what? That was playing, and I thought, wait a minute, this is weird. This is weird. I said, did the character just talk to me? You were freaking me out. We'll just take that. You know what? I don't want to change that. We'll just take that as the clip right there. Everyone, how you doing? Korey here, getting ready for another double toasted interview. And today, well, you know, a lot of days we've been having a lot of people that I enjoy talking to, a lot of people who I've known for a long time, or have at least seen their work for a long time, and have always wanted to meet. And today is definitely one of those people. I can't say how excited I am to finally get to meet and talk to Mr. Phil LaMarr. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey, Korey, thanks for having me, man.
You know, I'm just going to brag on you for a little bit, if you don't mind. Phil LaMarr, as many people know, you don't need to hear from me, but as many people know, talented actor known for his many roles in television, film, voice work in video games, and television shows. Also, you have a improv show, and I've been, again, fortunate enough to talk to several people from that show, the Black version.
Yep.
And one of the things that you're out promoting right now is the return of a favorite of many people of comedy and animation. Oh, what?
Oh, actually, we can't promote that.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, my notes, it was given to me to make sure I do that. I'm sorry. Well, it's a good thing that this is a pre-recorded thing, because we can cut that all out right there. I like the way you looking like, oh no, it's going out to live to everybody. No, not at all. That could be cut right out right there. Hey, well, let's just go back to talented voice actor and actor Phil LaMarr right here. Well, you look like somebody was about to put a bullet in you, man. I'm sorry. Well, hey, listen, speaking of putting bullets in you, you know, of course, the first time, the first time that I remember seeing you was in Pulp Fiction, where you were the character of Marvin, who was shot in the head in the backseat of a car by John Travolta. But also, just so we can jump right into it, you know, a lot of people know you from your several seasons on Mad TV. What was that, about 5 seasons that you did on there?
Yeah, I did the first 5 seasons.
So, getting to the discussion here, what is it that you feel just really put you out into the public's eye that made you a household name?
I don't consider myself a household name. I'm not famous. I'm popular, you know, and the difference being the quarterback on your high school football team, he's popular. Everybody in school knows him. And if they see you talking to him by your locker, they go, wait, what the hell, what happened? But at the grocery store, he's just another dude in a jacket.
Well, you know, maybe I'm considering my circles, you know, maybe I'm considering the people that, you know, that I consider our community, because they definitely know you. And if they were to know that I was talking to you right now, which they don't yet, but they will, they would be very excited, and they will be. So, you know, popular and famous, let's just consider that a relative term.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, the funny thing is I have been so fortunate to work on so many, you know, wonderful, amazing creative series, you know, anything from, you know, Justice League, Samurai Jack, Static Shock, Futurama, you know, and all of these things have audiences that love them, you know, of themselves. Mm-hmm. But for instance, there's probably a lot of Samurai Jack fans that never watched Static Shock. You know, because they were on different channels, you know, same years, but different, you know, time, you know, different demographics. But, you know, like I was saying, these shows are so good that the people who watch them love them. And that has been a blessing, you know, even to have just 5 lines in an Oscar-winning movie. That's a blessing.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's static. I mean, that's the Samurai Jack that
Pulp
we're looking
Fiction.
at right now.
Oh, yeah, and you showed
Yeah,
Samurai Jack.
yeah,
Yeah, that show is a work of art.
yeah. You know, and that's one of the things that I'm kind of judging you on because so many people love Samurai Jack, and you have become very familiar with, you know, your name is synonymous with Samurai Jack at this point. But you know, let's just talk about that. You know, with you being fortunate enough to have as much work as you do, because I often talk to my friends about this. You know, let's just say that you do consider yourself popular, but not famous. However, you continue to work. I mean, you're constantly working. You know, I mean, today with the with the strikes going on, I know how it is right now, but we always talk about the difference between, you know, a movie star and a character actor. And we always talk about how great it is for a character actor to just be able to be fortunate enough to like play so many roles, get so many jobs, and continue to keep working. And it seems to be that, you know, that's you. I mean, no matter what's going on, you're always working.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the work that you do, we just got through looking at a little clip right here from Samurai Jack. So you voiced so many popular characters, and you listed some of them. You know, Static Shock, Hermes, and several other characters, Futurama. You know, Family Guy characters, Ollie Johnson. You know, it's cold. You know, I love all this, man. You know, you've done Aliens and just Odd Creatures. You know, Star Wars, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. But here's the question here. So you've also done a lot of voices for characters of other nationalities, of other races. For example, Rick Grimes. I believe you voiced him in an animated version of him from The Walking Dead. That's a white character. Aquaman. I think you did White Aquaman, right? And then we have Samurai Jack that we just saw right here. Do you find a certain freedom doing voice work in that you're not limited by your race?
Well, I mean, I think that members of minority communities, we have a step up in, you know, in having a code switch in your life. That makes it a lot easier to voice switch on a microphone.
No, very much so. I definitely see that. And for those who don't know,
because if you're a minority person, you grow up knowing at least two cultures, the minority and the majority, but maybe some others.
That's an excellent point. Very excellent point. And just in case a few people, you've heard me talk about this in our community, but in case you don't know that, is where you have to pretty much change your voice and personality around certain circles. You know, it's everybody. We always talk about. I don't know, Phil, if your mother did this. We always joke about how, you know, when your mother was on you at home, when she was on your ass, she was using the black mama's voice. Whenever somebody called on the phone, now, you know, I don't know, a bill collector or something, she'd switch to her white voice. You know. So can I play an example of you voicing Samurai Jack right now? And this is Phil LaMarr, it's the title character of Samurai Jack.
Korey, it is your show. You may do whatever you decide.
You know what? That was playing, and I thought, wait a minute, this is weird. This is weird. I said, did the character just talk to me? You were freaking me out. We'll just take that. You know what? I don't want to change that. We'll just take that as the clip right there. Man, don't be scaring me like that. But have you? You know, we were seeing some backlash for a while for people playing or voicing characters of other races. Probably the most notorious is Apu from The Simpsons. Well, at least that's one of them. But have you received any kind of criticism for voicing characters of other races?
Well, it's interesting because, you know, it's always been, you know, for a person of color, something in your head, like what is the ethnicity of the character. But in voiceover in general, in the old days, it was 8 white dudes who did every character.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of those characters were not of any other ethnicities. You know, so the representation was the bigger issue. not diversity of casting.
Mm-hmm.
But then as the world moved forward, progressive, the people behind it didn't. They were the same old people with the same thoughts in their head. But by the 80s, if there was a character of ethnicity, because now there were some, if it were a minor character, nobody cared. But if it were a lead character, then they would say, oh yeah, well, if we do an article about the show, we'll have to show the lead actor. Mm-hmm. So they got to match the character.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, that whole Simpsons stuff about Apu, and Dr. Hibbert, and that tied into that 2020 controversy with the show Big Mouth and Central Park. They had female Caucasian actresses playing biracial young girls. And people were like, oh, okay. And the funny thing is, if you look at it from a 90s animation mentality, what those producers are thinking. It's like, well, the character's half black, half white. It doesn't matter which way we go.
Yeah.
And also because neither of those characters were the leads.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'd had this conversation years before that with a voice actor friend of mine who is a very talented white guy who could do a realistic black voice, mm-hmm. and had occasionally been cast at that. And he's like, can you explain to me, specifically why that's not okay? I know it's not okay. Tell me why. And I told him it breaks down to three things. The first thing is the principle of acting. Any actor should be able to play any role they can believably bring to life, which is why I can't play a basketball player on camera.
You and me both, man.
Right. It's like nobody can believe that this dude can slam dunk. He's 5'8".
Yeah.
But with voiceover, there is a much broader range because you don't have the visual limitation. You have the performance limitation, and that's why if you can only do a stereotype of some ethnicity, then you're not believably playing that role. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is, when that whole controversy came out, I was about to tweet something, it's like, oh, all of these people, are absolutely right about authenticity is absolutely important. That's why even though this character is, been part of my life for a long time and a deep part of my heart, I don't feel it's okay for me to play this role if it comes back. So that's why in the future, if Hermes is ever played again, it's going to be by an actual Jamaican from the 30th century. Sorry, I'm rambling. But the principle of, any actor should be able to play any role they can play, all things being equal, that is the principle. Problem mm-hmm. is, part two, all things are not equal. And I was explaining this to my friends, like, look, dude, 98% of the roles are you, white guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if those of us, people of color and women, are competing for person of color and female roles against all the white dudes and the women and people of color, we ain't never gonna be able to make our rent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we need to be, and actually the truth of the matter is, back in the 90s, as a person of color, since there were so few, representational roles, if you could not play a majority type of character, you didn't get hired.
Really?
Because, maybe there'd be the one guest, person of color, but in animation, they get paid for 3 voices for scale. Okay. So they need actors who can play more than just their own voice.
Gotcha. Okay.
Otherwise, they got to pay 3 checks for those 3 characters. No, we'd rather pay 1. And that's the whole thing about the Simpsons thing. These minor characters, number 10 on the sheet of characters in this episode, it never occurred to them that this is ethnic representation. No, it's just another. We're not hiring kids to play the kids in Bart's, classroom. We just have everybody who's in the room. Hey, Hank, do a high voice and play one of the kids. Or no, Hank, you do a lot of accents. You play the, Indian guy. But they didn't understand that having an Indian guy who was running a convenience store was kind of a stereotype.
Yeah, yeah.
Oops. They probably thought we're the only character with the only cartoon with an Indian character. Isn't that a good thing?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's an excellent point right there that I think a lot of people didn't really understand. I think that's great you said that Hank Azaria is the actor that did Apu, and Apu was a stereotype. I think that's what really rubbed people the wrong way. Also, you're talking about how you're going to make this statement, and you didn't make it, but you're going to make the statement saying, "Oh, I believe that everybody should have a chance and whatnot." But I remember you put something out there saying, "Y'all better leave me alone." Do you remember this?
Well, yeah, because people were bringing up my name in defense of the non-ethnic casting. It's like, well, Phil LaMarr plays white characters. Why can't these white actors play a black character? And it's like, yo, if you're going to be tweeting about false equivalency, keep my name, the Will Smith, out your mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
And because the third aspect of this thing is the history. There is a negative history of majority people, not well portraying minority characters. Mm-hmm. But there was never a white-faced minstrel show. There was never black people covering their face in toothpaste and doing this voice, I can't dance. But there is a long negative history of majority people playing black and Asian characters and women and many other, oppressed minorities. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, when you cast a majority person in a minority role, you tapping into that bad history. Mm-hmm. And that's not an okay thing.
Yeah.
And it's not okay for the, job life of these actors of color.
Mm-hmm. Great points all around. And, and so I guess you've had to, you were so eloquent and on the point with that. I guess you've had to explain this so many times to people over time.
Well, yeah. Well, and especially because after that controversy, people started pushing for, authenticity in casting. It's like, no, the representation and diversity is a really good point, but it's more important for the producers to be diverse and authentic than the actors. Because the thing is, we portraying fictional stuff. So if you're pushing for authenticity, then what, you got to hire an actual mafia murderer to play Tony Soprano? That don't make no sense.
Yeah, I guess when when you really start to push it in that direction, then things get, you really have to look at the absurdity of it. You were playing fictional characters here.
Right. I mean, if people keep pushing that, like, no, everybody's got to be real. Everybody's got to be real. It's like, okay, so we ain't never doing Star Wars again.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody's ever going to play an alien or a vampire.
Yeah, because I've often thought about this with because let me ask you this. Now that I'm thinking about it, what do you think about it in terms of opportunity? And by the way, don't think that I'm one of the people who is criticizing you. This is just me asking questions here, because hey, first of all, I don't want you on my ass about things, man, because I can see how angry you can get and passionate you can get. I do not want the wrath of LaMarr on me, but you make great points. But what do you feel about when it comes down to people saying that it creates opportunity for others? I mean, gay actors don't have the opportunity to actually, well, I guess they could come out and play straight people if they're that good an actor, but there is the argument that there are certain people who of certain races, of certain sexualities that don't get the same opportunities in Hollywood, and if somebody else is playing those roles, then it's taken more away from them. What is your opinion on that?
No, well, like I said, that was my first aspect of it is the principle of acting. The second one is pragmatism, and people, of, minority ethnicities, orientations, genders, whatever, they need representation and diversity, like you said, in order to have a life, and then the third aspect being the history, which is also, for again, most of us coming from, minority perspectives have some negative history. Like you said, there's always some, bad gay stereotype, that was played by a straight guy. But also back in those old days, before we had the level of representation that we have now. And that's the other aspect of it, is the world we live in now is so much better. I remember going to the movie theater to see Woman King and realizing that when I was 12, there is no way this movie would have existed on this planet. No studio in any country would have signed off on a multi-million-dollar action movie with black women.
Yeah, of course.
But we have moved forward. I remember early 2000s working on this parody thing called Sands of Passion, which was a soap opera parody set in a jokey fundamentalist Islamic world. There was a family who had a son who was supposed to be a suicide bomber, but he kept coming home like, why are you still here? But most of the actors were from Middle Eastern backgrounds, and I remember listening to them talk about, I'm going up for another terrorist part.
Yeah.
And I realized, oh, damn, they're having the same conversation us black guy actors used to have in the 80s, going up for gang member parts.
Yeah. Sounds like the Islamic version of Hollywood Shuffle.
Right, exactly. But the thing is, now, 20 years later, the world has changed. Now, for actors of that ethnicity, you got the Ms. Marvel series, you got Rami, you got multiple things, not just parts you can be cast in, but that represent your culture and ethnicity.
Yeah.
Things that would not have existed 2 decades before.
And, again, an excellent point, putting things in perspective. Even though we're talking about diversity right now, and it seems like, it is a struggle and it seems like a fight, things have gotten better. They have gotten much better over time.
Yeah. We still got, place to go, but that we've made some steps, thank God.
Major steps, yeah.
Yeah, the fact that, we have, multiple African-American series, comedies, dramas, I remember back in the day when Eric LaSalle was cast as a surgeon on ER, we were all like, oh, they didn't make the brother an orderly?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember him. We were talking about that's the Soldlo guy. He's his surgeon now. Yeah.
Right. But now you cast a black surgeon, nobody even looks twice.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
Exactly.
You cast nowadays you cast a black president, nobody gonna make a joke.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, well, there was a time when that was science fiction, but wow, we really have made some strides, man. Kind of switch things up right here because we were talking before we started recording, and we were talking about how you were out there. You're in the midst of the strikes. You're picketing right now, and you're out there lending your support. And if anybody doesn't know, we're in the middle of a writers and actors strike. Where pretty much the studios, and correct me if I'm wrong because you would know better than I would. They are pretty much trying to underpay talent, especially writers and actors, but really with writers right now, and they're trying to underpay them to the point where they're doing a standoff where what I understand, Phil, is that they are trying to starve them out. You know, they're trying to say we're going to put them to a point where they're going to get kicked out of their homes and apartments, and then they'll come crawling back. So you are out there fighting a good fight. Now, I guess my question here is, you know, talking about how much work you do and you work constantly, how has this disrupted your workflow?
Oh, the strike? Yes. It's definitely, I mean, but that's the point of a strike, is you, as members of the union, choose to stop working in order to make the work world better. I mean, I say it's a little bit like being drafted in the army in World War II. You left your family, you risked your life, but you were fighting to defeat evil. Mm-hmm. And in this case, we're fighting to defeat economic evil.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because in the old days, the studio heads and the people who won Oscars lived next door to each other in Bel Air. You know, so there was a little more value to the personal relationships, and so the strikes went faster. Mm-hmm. But now with these streamers run by these tech companies that are not in LA, not in Hollywood, and actually don't even consider themselves entertainment companies. Like, we're just creating content. They don't look at the actors, the writers, the content creators as their partners in profiting. They look at us as cogs in the machine that makes things that they sell.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so like when your car starts making a noise, you don't go, oh, let me help it. You go, God damn it.
Well, you know, with the strikes happening right now and the studios behaving like they are, there has been a legitimate fear of AI out there. And, you know, there's been a fear of actors being replaced visually, but I think, you know, with voice work, that's something that could definitely be a possibility because, you know, I'm seeing now that, you know, they have Biden and Obama rapping, you know, and it's not them, but, you know, it's close enough to sound like them for somebody who wouldn't know. You as a voice actor also, is that something that concerns you, especially with what's going on with the studios right now?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I mean, the AI thing. There's two aspects of it. Like with the Biden and Obama thing that you just mentioned, where they take enough recordings of what they have said publicly, and then have a machine cut it up, piece it up into a rap or whatever they want it to be. That's just one thing. It's like, oh well, they could have the president say something fake and make it sound like them. That's bad. Mm-hmm. Just from a truth perspective. But from a business perspective, for performers and writers and stuff, it's theft.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because what the machine builds that from is they're taking our work, and reusing it and reselling it, but not paying us nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's stealing. And it's interesting because a few months back, I had a voice actor friend of mine said, hey, I just was on this AI website and I saw they had a menu with 4 of your characters available. So people could just pick those, type in something, and have this character say whatever they want. It's like, wait, and what we're worried about with this contract negotiation is these studios are putting clauses in their contracts. They're saying, well, if we pay you for one job, we can then use the AI to reuse that for however many jobs we want, but no more money.
Yeah, yeah.
They're buying the right to steal. I mean, that'd be like you get a job at a company and they're like, all right, when you come in for work, you got to leave your house key.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we gonna go steal shit out your house while you're here.
Exactly.
But that's you're our employee, so that's our right.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, and I don't think people really understand the gravity of this situation right now, because people think that this is a possibility, but I don't think they understand that studios have actually made moves to make this happen. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the scary thing about it. I mean, you know, we're talking about some Black Mirror shit going on right now. You know, so. Well, I mean, listen. I hope you make some progress with this soon. You know, I really do. For, you know, especially not just for our sakes as people who consume you know, your talent, but also for your livelihood. I hope you get it worked out very soon. You know, to move on to some lighter things right here. I do. Well, no. This is great to get into these discussions. This is why I love talking, you know, to people and doing these interviews. I mean, you can talk about lighthearted stuff all day, but I love, you know, going into these deep discussions, and this is great. But I do want to just say that I did not realize how long you were working. Like I said, you know, the first time I saw you was in Pulp Fiction, as many people probably have. But man, I did not realize that you did voice work for Mr. T, the Mr. T cartoon. And you know, I was like 9 or 10 when that came out, and you did a voice for a character named Woody, I believe. He was a coach, black coach at the time. Can I just show people this clip right here?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Just drive. Let me worry about T.
I thought he was about to beat your ass, man. Just drive, fool.
Yeah. No, well, actually, the funny thing is, Woody was not a coach. Woody was a 14-year-old boy who was part of the gymnastics team that Mr. T was the coach of, and we went around. Well, I guess maybe he was 16 by this season.
Okay.
And we went around doing gymnastics tournaments and solving mysteries. So basically, it was kind of like Scooby-Doo with a gymnastics team. And I did that in high school. I was 16.
Oh, okay. I was figuring you had to be very young to do that voice.
Yeah.
And you know what? So you were doing this at 16. So that's a great question there. Like, at what time and how did you get into the industry?
Well, it's interesting because back then, voice acting was not a job description. So to me, this is just like, oh, I just got a cool summer job. Every summer I do some episodes of a cartoon,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I did not consider it a career. I was just very, very fortunate that an old friend of my mother's was a woman who was a programming executive at NBC. Actually, this woman, Phyllis Tucker Vincent, was from the 80s until the year 2016, the highest ranking black woman in television history. Until Marin Dungy became head of ABC. But for what, 84, 94, for 30 years, no black woman was as powerful as Phyllis. And she knew that they were going to use real kids for the Mr. T cartoon. And she, you know, knew that I did plays in high school. And she told my mom, he can come audition for this. Even though I was not a professional actor at that time.
Yeah, yeah. So,
And it's funny because one of the other, you know, most of the other cast members were. Like Amy Linker, who played another one of the kids, she was on the show Square Pegs with, you know, Tracy Nelson and stuff. So like she was a professional actor in her teens. I wasn't.
So you just got lucky. You knew this is who you.
I got super lucky.
Yeah, yeah. So was that your first entry then into the business, Mr. T?
Yes, it was not my first entrance into acting. I've been doing plays, but it was my first entrance into show business, and it got me my union card.
Nice.
So, you know, I've been in the union going on 40 years.
Nice. Very nice, man. I mean, well, man, I just have to ask because you do so much voice work. I mean, you still do live action. You be voicing video games. You know, at least you weren't to the strike game, which I'm sure you will get back into it very soon. But how do you find the time to fit all that in, including your personal life?
Well, it's interesting because I started out, you know, after graduating college, I came back home to LA and started pursuing acting. and pursuing acting at that time, in the late 80s, was on camera.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, if I'd stayed back east, I would have, pursued theater. But in LA, they didn't pay you for theater. They paid you $5.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to pay your rent, you tried to get TV and movie jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And the voiceover stuff was not considered back then an actual path that you chose. I mean, there were a handful of people who just grew up loving cartoons and always wanted to be, you hear, my friend Bob Bergen, who's the voice of Porky Pig, talk about he always wanted to voice cartoon characters. But back then, that was a rarity. If you were trying to be an actor, you had to try to get on camera.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until, well into my career, after I'd already started to make a living, that I'd made a decision to try to go down the voice acting route. Because after I got on Mad TV, where we did some voice acting, they would do these claymation animated pieces and have us cast members voice the characters.
Yeah, I remember.
And it's
those.
and I realized, oh wow, getting to play a bunch of different characters without having to change wigs and put on a fat suit, that's a lot easier. And to your question about how do you fit it in,
yeah,
one of the best things about the voiceover industry is it is a much more humane corner of show business. Technically, it is still an 8-hour union work day, but because, like I was talking about before, it used to just be, 7, 8 white dudes who did all the voices.
Yeah.
They established the parameters for voice actors. So voice actors have a 4-hour work day, because back in the day, Hanna-Barbera needed Mel Blanc in the morning, and Looney Tunes needed him in the afternoon. So Mel had one workday, 9 to 1, and then the next one, 2 to 6. So he got 2 jobs in one day.
Yeah.
And that established the format for voice actors that exists for all of us to this day. We can get paid a full day's pay for a 4-hour day.
So Mel Blanc set the standard for that. And
Yes.
Mel Blanc is legendary, and listen, Phil, that's why I would say, you're famous, because I guess because I would think that I see how popular voice actors are becoming today. I mean, I don't know. You tell me. I mean, do you think that voice actors are more popular than ever? I mean, you have kids out there who know their favorite characters, but they know the voice actors behind them now. And I don't know what shifted with that, but they seem to really be fascinated with the voice actors.
It's the internet. Because in the old days, half the time they wouldn't even, list us in the credits. Like half of the stuff Mel Blanc did, or, Dawes Butler, who did all these iconic characters when I was a kid. I still to this day have no idea what he looked like.
I guess that's true, yeah.
But nowadays with the internet, you don't have to see the credits as you go by. You can Google it afterwards. Who did that voice? And not only will they will get our names, they'll get a picture of us.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. People voice actors, we have more attention now than has ever been available in history.
Yeah.
Thanks to the internet.
Yeah.
And also the fact that fandom has become much more mainstream. In the old days, you would just enjoy a show. It didn't matter who was in it unless it was a movie star.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's Marilyn Monroe. Ooh, ooh. Well, nobody else knew the name of any of the other actors in a Marilyn Monroe movie.
Yeah.
But nowadays, being a fan of something and of someone is a more normal thing to do.
I see.
So people will say, "Oh, I like that actor in that.
Yeah.
Let me see what else he's in." Google it and then go watch a different show.
So just having access to information has evolved fandom then. Yeah.
Yes.
You could definitely see
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I've talked to Rob Paulson about 3 or 4 times, man, and kids just love this guy. They I mean, you have creators online who make YouTube videos, and they just, they save up money to hire Rob, and all that. So it's just amazing to see how these voice actors have gained a popularity, and you are one of those people, man.
Yeah. Well, because I think part of it is also that having voices in your head from your childhood, that affects us. Like having your parents' voice in your head. Like when you're 40 and you hear your mama say your name the same way she said when she was mad at you when you were 6,
yeah,
you get the same feeling.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I got to do a Scooby-Doo cartoon. I remember walking into the studio and Casey Kasem, the voice of Shaggy, was still doing it at that time. He'd been doing it for 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
At that point. And when Casey walked up to the microphone, they said, "All right, Casey, can you just give us a couple lines for the mic volume?" And he starts doing Shaggy. "Jinky Scoop." I felt the hair on the back of my neck stand up.
Yeah.
And I felt myself, and I felt like I was 8 years old sitting with a bowl of cereal in my lap again. I'm like, no, dude, you're here at work. But there is something about hearing those characters that takes you back to that, that impressive time when you first experienced.
Oh yeah, hearing you do Samurai Jack, hearing Rob come on and do like Pinky and the Brain. I mean, it's I get the same feeling. It just blows me away that these characters that I love, I'm seeing the actual voice actor do them in front of me. So I understand exactly what you're talking about. You were talking about the whole kind of the process of how you came to do these voices. You said you grew up with voices in your head. The reason why you're so successful at what you do is because you can do impressions, and you can mimic other accents and dialects and nationalities and everything. And just to give people an example, here's you doing Prince from Mad TV.
This movie kicks Old Testament ass.
Chosen people, we are gathered here today to talk about this thing called Exodus. A funky word, Exodus. It means Pharaoh. We about to get the hell up out of here.
As someone who loves Prince, I remember that sketch when it was on Mad TV. I love that, man. How did you get to be so good at doing so many different voices and impressions?
Well, it's interesting because I've always, been listening to voices. And back in 10th grade in high school, we did a production of the Woody Allen play Play It Again, Sam, and I played Humphrey Bogart. So I was doing impressions way back then. And I found, over the years in voiceover, people who do impressions, people who sing, start VO with a step up because we're the people who are used to listening to our voices and understand. Like if you do an impression, you have to do the math between that person's voice and yours. Mm-hmm. What do I need to do to change this into that? And that makes you understand your voice and how to control it, just like singing does. It's like, where that note is in your throat. And once you turn that into acting, it's like, okay, well, if he's crying, I know how to make myself sound that way because I know how to hit those notes.
Yeah.
So it's a similar skill set, and to me, having a sketch comedy background, playing multiple characters, but also being able to put those characters through my throat, not just through my face and the way I walk.
Yeah.
Helped me get started in voiceover.
Very nice. Oh, very nice. Just a couple of things before we go here. Got to ask you about this. I know you get a lot of questions about this, but I'm going to ask just for myself. The character of Marvin in Pulp Fiction, it's a small but yet extremely popular character, man, a role. You're not in that movie that much. You don't have that many lines there. You die very quickly. But, I think one of the reasons why this character is so popular is because people just feel bad for Marvin in Pulp Fiction, you know. But
Marvin's the only one they didn't kill on purpose.
Exactly.
Like all the rest of the dudes in the room got shot on purpose.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up because I got to ask you a couple of things about this. One, how did you get this role? But two, why did they not kill Marvin? Do you know the story behind Marvin and why they were not going to kill him? And was he going to die if they had not shot him?
No. All right. See, I'll give you this. The backstory that Quentin Tarantino and I talked about, on set, was that there was this group of kids who, were getting into crime and had stolen this briefcase that belonged to this mob boss. But, Jules, turns out, knew somebody connected him to Marvin. Figure maybe family members, cousins or something. So Jules was able to make a connection to Marvin and make an arrangement for, we going to show up at 7:45, you unlock the door, let us in. That's why when they're, in the trunk, trying to decide which weapons to take, Vincent asks Jules, how many of you guys in there? He's like, and he says, well, there's 5 plus our guy.
So got you.
That's how we know
Marvin was their guy.
Exactly. Marvin was an insider. And that's why they take him with them when they leave. They killed everybody else, took the briefcase, like, all right. We never explained specifically. It's not like, Jules said, yeah, Marvin, get in the back. We're going to take you to your mama's house.
Yeah. Yeah, he's okay. All right, so that he was their inside man, and they were going to and they never had any intention of killing him at all.
Right. And it's funny because this is one of the only 2 changes, because the script of Pulp Fiction was so incredible that's how Quentin got such huge stars,
Yeah.
But originally, he wrote it so that John does that, turns around, gun goes off accidentally, hits Marvin in the throat.
Ah, okay.
And so he's sitting there going, and they banter back and forth, Tarantino style. Damn, man, what'd you do? It's like, you must have hit a bump. It's like, I didn't know motherfucking bump. What you gonna do? All right, well, we can't take him to a hospital. We ain't got no people here in the valley in the 818. All right, well, just put him out of his misery. I'm going to count to 3 and hit the horn. 1, 2, 3. And that's when they get covered in blood and then have to get Harvey Keitel to come in.
Gotcha.
But, as we were rehearsing the movie before shooting, I remember the first time I walked into rehearsal and Quentin says, oh, hey, John, Sam, I want you to meet Phil LaMarr. And the first thing John Travolta said to me was like, oh, man, this is the guy I got to shoot? The audience is going to hate me. And it turned out that he and Quentin actually agreed on that idea. It's like, oh, if he shoots him the second time on purpose, that's going to be a negative, feel for Vincent in the movie. So he just cut it down to the one accidental shot.
Okay, so it was completely different in the script where they were going to shoot him twice.
Right.
That would have been some cold-blooded shit. I mean, they're killers, but damn. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad it worked out the way it did because, first of all, that moment right there is what made it. That one shot. And
the look on John's face. He's like, hey, man, I'm just talking to you. Bam. Like, you can tell there's no menace there.
Exactly. Now, he looks like a Labrador right there. So, that's very interesting. I never knew that story behind it. Thanks for telling me that, man.
Yeah. And your question about how I got that part? Mm-hmm. From my sketch comedy background.
Really?
It's weird. Before I got on Mad TV, I was a member of a group in LA called the Groundlings.
Yes.
Which was an improv sketch comedy group that some amazing people came out. Lorraine Newman, Elvira, Pee Wee Herman, Julia Sweeney, Phil Hartman, John Lovitz, all these incredible comedic people. And it turned out Julia Sweeney was on Saturday Night Live, and she played that character Pat. And the movie It's Pat was my first movie role. But she was friends with Quentin Tarantino. They met when Harvey Keitel did SNL. And so Julia, when she came back to LA, invited Quentin to come do an improv show at the Groundlings, and I was in the cast with him. And so Quentin and I did improv together.
Quentin Tarantino did improv comedy with you?
And he was good.
Wow.
And so when he was casting, Pulp Fiction, they were looking at the part for Marvin. He told the casting director, "Hey, there's this guy at the Groundlings. I think he'll be good at this. Go see if you can find him."
And that ended up being you, right? Nice, man. I love these kind of stories right here. I never knew that. And to think I was being hesitant about asking you about all this, but this is great.
Yeah, no, dude, I'm one of the luckiest people in show business. You'd think I would gamble more because I've been so damn lucky.
Well, no, congratulations on that, man. You know, again, like I said, this is the role I think a lot of people first got introduced to you, and it was great. Like I said, very small, but you made a huge impact in this movie, man.
Yeah, well, it's funny because Marvin only had like 4 or 5 lines, but I knew I wasn't gonna get cut out.
Yeah,
because you cut Marvin out, you cutting Harvey Keitel out, and that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. You know, speaking of your improv background, last thing here. Again, I've been fortunate enough to talk to 3 people from the improv group, the black version. Cedric Yarbrough, Gary Anthony Williams, and you. And, you know, yeah, man. This is great because, first of all, this is a very successful improv show that you guys are doing on the regular. In fact, you got another show coming up on the 17th, I believe.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I now that I've talked to so many members of the group, I have to come out and see this because I've watched some bits online and whatnot, and it looks wonderful, man. But
I mean, I don't know if many people in your audience know, but the premise of the show is it's an all-black cast of improvisers. We take a suggestion from the audience of a classic or iconic Hollywood movie, and then we improv the black version of that movie.
Yes.
You know, like we did the black version of Jaws. We called it Catfish.
So this is very popular over in LA, man. You guys sell out shows all the time. Congratulations on the success of that show. You know, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I read that you did a pilot a few years ago for TV One, and I think the pilot aired. But did it or did it not?
It never aired.
It never aired. Okay, so you did the pilot though, right? So what happened?
Well, because the pilot came not directly from the black version improv show as much as it came from this podcast that we had been doing called Blackout Television, where we would take a little premise of something and it was all improv. And one of the things was a morning radio show. One was a, like Judge Judy type show, but with a black lady who was, running the judge show because she had been in court a bunch of times. And then another one was, like a Good Morning, America type of show, but an all black one. And that was the premise that we moved forward to for the TV show. It's like, yeah, let's do that, but live action, not just on audio. And, but they didn't pick it up.
Well, are there plans at this moment to probably take it any further? Or are you just satisfied with the way it's going right now? Because it's very successful right now.
Yeah, well, it's hard to say, because, I think sometimes when people talk about doing the movie parody version, they're like, oh, well, if you broadcast don't you have to pay the rights of the movie? So we can't afford that show.
Exactly. Well, again, congratulations on it, man. I've been
it's such a fun show, and it's so much fun for people. We've been selling out, every show for almost 12 years now.
Wow. Very nice. So this is pretty much a staple of LA
and over
now.
over the last few years, we've taken it, not just in LA, we've taken it on tour a couple times. We did a show at a place called the Midnight Theater in New York City earlier this year, and last year we did a show at the Kennedy Center in Washington D.C. for the second time.
Nice, very nice. Yeah. Well, people
and packed crowds for both of them.
Of course. So people, if you're in LA, you got no excuse. Go check it out. And
Do it.
if you happen to be in LA, go check it out. I plan on doing that at some point. And as you can see, as of right now, the next show is Monday, July 17th, 8 p.m.
And if you go to the website, theblackversion.com, you can see where we're performing, and you can also see the on-camera video clips that our show creator Jordan Black made back in the day before we were doing the stage show. He was shooting black versions of classic scenes, and it was some of us in the cast, also amazing people like Octavia Spencer, the Oscar winner.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Very
So,
nice.
if Octavia hadn't been so busy, she'd probably be part of the Black Version cast too, but she's always off shooting something.
Well, listen, man, this has been it's been a pleasure. I mean, that's putting it lightly. I've learned so much about the things that I already love and kind of grew up with, and just just that you've been around a part of my life for so long, and now I get to talk to you. That's really special. So thank you for spending the time right now.
Oh, no, thank you for taking the time, Korey. And especially thank you for watching the good stuff.
I watch it all, No.
No. Because, like I said, I've been so fortunate to work with genius creators, amazing cast, and to do these characters that have been iconic. But there's also a whole bunch of other jobs that are not iconic and maybe even not that good. But same check.
Okay, hey, you listen. You got paid anyway. A job's a job sometimes.
And as an actor, you can't control the success of the show. I mean, you can control your performance, but no matter how good you are, that doesn't mean this thing is going to be a hit. Or that it'll get picked up by the network. You don't know. As an actor, especially in voiceover, we are at most 33% of these amazing characters. Because without the writing and without the visual art, it's not the whole character.
And I also think it says something that, listen, if you do as much work as you do, I think it's safe to say there's going to be something that maybe you're not so proud of, or maybe, something that's not as good as something else, but that you keep working, you keep going, that says something right there. And as you said, hey, you got paid. So we'll end on that positive right there. Again, thank you so much. People, Phil LaMarr needs no introduction, needs no explanation on his way out. You know who he is, you love him, and we've all been fortunate enough to sit up here and hear all these stories and all the details about your work, and I just want to thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
All right, I'll let you go. Thank you so much, and I'm about to click him out of Zoom, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye. And, well, that was pretty wonderful right there. As I said, one of the biggest benefits, one of the things that I'm really grateful for doing these is that I get to learn so much about these people that I admire, and learned a lot today about him, some of the movies that I love, and I hope you enjoyed it too. So if you enjoyed this, please check out our other interviews. I'm not going to put up where they are because we might be transferring these over to our main channel, the Double Toasted YouTube channel, and maybe some other places. But we do have a Double Toasted Interviews channel. Look it up if you want to. Just type in Double Toasted Interviews. It'll pop up. But these might be shifting over a few places. So, and I have built up a long line, I got a large inventory of these interviews right here, and they've all been great. So, hope you get a chance to listen to those. Hope you enjoyed this one. And I'm Korey Coleman. Thank you so much for watching or listening to this. And we'll see you on the next one. Until then, and let me make sure my sound is good here. I don't want to give y'all a bunch of ear bleeds out there. Yeah, I think we're good enough to say kcoolmans@gmail.com. That is KCOOLMANZ@gmail.com. Email us with any kind of questions, comments, compliments, insults, input, and our advice. Hit us up on those social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We got TikTok. We have a Patreon out there. You know what? Just type in Double Toasted. It'll take you wherever you need to go. Also, if you find yourself here in Austin, Texas, we love to meet people. So once again, please take advantage of that email right there at kcoolmans@gmail.com and let us know that you are on your way to Austin. I mean, you might already be here. Just let us know ahead of time. Reach out to us. You know, we got busy schedules too, but we'll be willing to drop everything for you if you let us know what your plans are. So tell us if you're moving here, just passing through, and we'll do our best to hang out with you. All right, everyone. Thank you once again. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are listening to or watching this. Goodbye, and stay toasty.